Now, welcome everybody. Happy to say here in studio. They were last together on the 7th of July. Temperatures were soaring, and here we are now in a chilly 20th of August where Will Slattery, I'm hesitant to say, it feels like autumn is here.
Winter has come, Joe. Although not for John Greene, who's still wearing shorts, so he's still...
31st of October, Will.
You wear shorts until then?
Hopefully, yeah.
Liam McHale and John Greene, the only men I know who wear shorts 365 days a year.
Were you kind of furiously packing up your robot lawnmower this morning? Now the weather has now turned. That can be put into hibernation for the foreseeable.
There is a winter schedule and a summer schedule. It's been a triumph, by the way. Great success. Won't revisit it, but the robotic lawnmower experiment is now a lifestyle choice.
I went for a robot Hoover shortly thereafter.
They're not bad.
Somewhat.
They're not bad.
Inspired by you. Very good.
Yeah.
God, it really takes the hassle, especially when you have kids. You know, you can put the kid to bed, let the Hoover do its work. Yeah. The Hoover's like an extended member of the family now.
Yeah.
And my son kind of plays with it. It's like a little, kind of another child almost.
Watch out for that. That can develop into bad situations as well. But yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
My neighbour's one broke down. I know we talked about it before, but how I felt they were passive aggressive and it broke down. It was
The outdoor one.
yeah, it was out of action for a month. He had to cut the grass himself. I can't say that I
wonder if
got anything other than a lot of satisfaction.
Was there any malfeasance on your part, I wonder, John? If the neighbour was to check his Ring camera, would he find sugar being poured into the gas tank by one Jay Greene?
Very good. We're a day early here, Bits and Bobs. That is for various reasons. I'm not here tomorrow. But also...
That's the reason. There's one reason.
Sorry. But also we thought
on holidays.
We'd give our little... my first round of golf of the year. Of the year!
Are you nervous?
Yeah, it's going to be ugly. Now, sometimes the golfing gods tend to give you a good first day back. They just do. But I'm playing 2 days in a row. Second day, I'm anticipating difficulties. But
are you going to go into the garage tonight with the Padraig Harrington swing shirt and kind of get your equilibrium back, or what's the warm-up?
I went to the range a couple of days ago.
Okay.
It wasn't so bad. Do you know what's very interesting? Sorry to qualify this. I don't know, should I share this?
Well, you set a high bar when you say, you know what's very interesting.
To me, it is.
Okay.
So somebody who has, I'll keep this brief. Somebody who has, like, you know, from the age of kind of early 20s when I started playing golf until, I guess, 3-4 years ago when I had to stop for various reasons, 2 in particular. See, anyone who's played golf in any way kind of seriously or in a committed way will know the pain of being at the driving range and you're searching and you're trying things and I'll try and hold off the hands and I'll try and release the hands and I'll rotate this way and you're always you're just looking for a fix. So I move the ball forward, move the ball back, and I think I found it. 10 minutes later, no, I didn't find it. That kind of thing. So the ranges these days are, a lot of them, the one I went to in Concealy has TrackMan at all the bays, which is, you know, simple device, and it can just give you numbers, you know, namely how far you hit the ball, but also things like how much spin was on the ball, how much did it curve 20 yards left to right, right to left, all this kind of data. So I got that going on, and that's interesting. And then on my phone I have various AI tools. And so I took a picture of the TrackMan data and said, here's my driver shot. And I typed in a few things. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm holding off the club a little bit. I'm trying to play a little left to right. What could I improve on? Straight away, your ball position is definitely wrong. Move it forward to, you know, a couple of inches. And also, you know, slow down the rotation. The club is definitely getting caught behind you. Okay, this was instant feedback. Kazam. Take the picture of that next reading. Boom, you've cracked it. That's perfect. And each shot you can get analyzed by AI, and it will give you certain, you know, what you're doing with, you know, your hands, or again, ball position, all these various things. I have to say, it was mind-blowingly impressive.
Well, was it helping you? Like, were you?
Yeah, that's what Kazam meant. I nailed it.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Kazam was meant to be.
No, I was with
jackpot.
you, Joe.
Yeah, it was extraordinary. So it was literally move the ball position of your driver forward a little bit, and also, you know, straighten up a touch the aim. Don't play for as much of a fade. And it was Kazam. It was. I did come away thinking that is absolutely amazing. And if I was, you know, if this had been available when I started playing in maybe kind of 2010 territory, would have been a whole other experience, those 10 years slogging it out on the driving range. I'm not saying it's going to replace golf teachers, but it was a very...
Golf pros up and down the country are shouting at their, their phone.
Shut up.
Joe, stop talking.
There's something about what you described, though, to me that sounds somewhat hollow.
Oh, far from
a
it.
hollow victory. I don't know. It's maybe something, and this is how when I hear people telling other things they're using AI for, the achievement might be there or the end goal might be there, but there's something with the process that leaves me very, very cold that I don't actually know if I'd want to do that myself. Like when I hear people doing things in work or recreation, and like, oh look, an AI just literally got this, and I'm like, it feels so empty to me that I'm actually not sure I would want to use it for myself, even if it would improve me and help me. Which is probably a bad attitude in some instances, and probably as a workload or a toil. But
no, I think we all have an understandable resistance and worry about AI. I mean, if I could just turn it off, I would. But given that it's here and it's a reality, Kazam. And so it wasn't hollow. Like golf is difficult enough. I'm not saying I'm cured. Like watch out PGA Seniors Tour. But it was a thoroughly enjoyable experience. It was really exciting. I was like, God, that really felt much better, as opposed to having to spend 30 shots. Try it this way, try it that way. I was really impressed.
So the first time you implemented its advice, was it like smoked it? Like, well,
I'll show you the photos. I think the ball went much straighter. I picked up about 30 yards. Like, okay, that'll do.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Look, I spent more time on that than I wanted. I'm not here tomorrow. Edit all that out if you want.
Very interesting. That was the tee up.
I actually...
You know what's very interesting? Let me talk for 25 minutes about my golf swing.
Sorry. People should never talk about their golf game or what their dreams.
Fantasy football team as well. That's what I thought you might get.
Do you know what I dreamt last night?
The most interesting thing about that was...
Interesting.
Two people taking two completely different things from it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He goes off in one direction. And the time you're talking, about 2/3 of the way through, I thought I knew where you were going with it, which was that we're adding being a teaching pro to the list of jobs that are endangered by AI, which never had occurred to me before.
I have to say that on the drive home occurred to me in a massive way.
That's what I was taught you. That's where I thought you were going.
Yeah. Now you need the TrackMan numbers,
yeah.
But that's increasingly in places. But yeah, I did. It's frightening when you think of all the applications for it and all the. I keep thinking we'll be okay, but that's probably a very naive thing,
You can't replace Butch Harmon.
I said I keep thinking we'll be okay.
I know. I'm still like the thought of no Butch or Butch being obsolete. It makes me quite
Butch is
sad.
fine. Don't worry. Yeah.
No one can replicate. I'm not saying us specifically. This threesome. I don't think AI can replicate like spontaneous off the cuff conversation. Maybe you can. It can give an approximation of one that maybe would be enjoyable. Maybe you could. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I keep threatening to someday. I'll ask it to like script an opening 10 minutes for us, and we come in here like a read through on a show, and we all have our lines, and see if we can do it for real. Commit to it. Don't tell anyone we're doing it, and see if there's anyone email in saying that was a very strange opening 10 minutes.
There'll be people that was an unbelievable 10 minutes. Your best ever 10 minutes, and then we resign.
Many years ago, I was at a cricket match. I can't even remember who was playing, but it was an international cricket match. It was probably an Ireland-England game or some such thing. And I don't even know if I'd even listened to a podcast at this point. So it was right at the start of podcasts. And I was having lunch at a table, and I started talking to another fella. And it soon turned out that at the time we both had an interest in growing potatoes. And we started talking about all the different methods of growing potatoes. And then a couple of other people joined in. And I think we were talking all through lunch about this guy, this English fella was listening in, and he just leaned over. He says, "Look," he said, "I don't know if you know, that would have made a fantastic podcast." I was like, "What's that?"
Yeah. Well, they're here now. In fact, actually, we'll get to them. There's interesting piece on the podcast landscape we'll come to. So look, like I said, cut all that out if you want. I don't care. So I'm not here tomorrow. We've got a little 10-year anniversary to mark, because time slips by and suddenly it is 10 years since the Rio Olympic Games of 2016, the infamous Games of 2016. So we're having a little look back on tomorrow's show.
Boxer Michael O'Reilly, as you've been hearing, is believed to have tested positive for a banned substance.
And so did you bring your medals with you? No. We did? Yeah. Oh, I thought you might be wearing them. Oh no, they're just casually in the back pocket.
They're known for being cheats. They'll always be cheats. Amateur boxing stinks. From the core right to the top.
The head of the Irish Olympic Council is in police custody in Rio de Janeiro after being arrested on suspicion of illegally selling tickets on the black market.
There you are. It was eventful, to say the very least. Journalist Kieran Cunningham, who was there, is going to pop in for a chat, or was in for a chat rather. But we've put together maybe 30, 35 minute sounds of that summer to relive it, and it was eventful.
It was. I think I started working in 2016 in the Indo, and I think it's the craziest period since then for me. I was on the sports desk, so my job was basically to upload stories to the website. And I just remember day after day, it was this ceaseless deluge of controversy and scandal, and mixed in obviously some great achievements as well. So it's not all darkness, there's some light there too. But it was fun because obviously we've been working on this for the last week or two to just revisit it all. Mad stuff.
Yeah. 2 silver medals, so it was a lower than average haul on that front. And obviously the Pat Hickey thing, arrested in his dressing gown, and the fallout, and the lack of answers we still have, are big themes in the episode. So that's tomorrow. Tune in. Any strong memories of 16 these days? I mean,
Same as well. It
10 years on.
was a crazy summer. It really was. You just didn't know what was going to come next. I don't know if you remember, there was a thing, pretty sure, there was a thing, what you missed last night, so the first thing the next morning on the website. And I remember one day there was, Pat Hickey was arrested, Usain Bolt ran in a heat, it was all this mad stuff going on. But the ticket story was just such an Irish story, wasn't it? What is it about us and tickets? We just have this thing.
Do we?
Yeah, we have a thing about tickets. Yeah. There was FAI had some trouble in the past as well, if you recall.
I saw the Saipan movie where Dickie Mooney was...
Dickie Maloney.
Dickie Maloney was...
First cousin of Joe Maloney, of course.
Everywhere, yeah.
Another movie I haven't watched.
Have you not watched Saipan?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay.
John was bragging about how he hadn't watched The Odyssey and had no plan to. Like a badge of honour.
Was I bragging?
Oh, I would say you were bragging.
I think it was just a statement that I had no interest in. Yeah, it was just... Tickets are such an Irish story. It's just, we have this, they're like a currency in this country. Not so much anymore, but definitely in the 90s and 80s, 90s, 2000s, they were like another form of money. And just for an Irish guy to be caught in an Olympic host city in South America with sort of 800 tickets just swishing around, and it just went rapidly from there to be trying to find who is this guy.
Yeah.
Who are Pro 10, the ticket company. Then Pat Hickey gets... I don't know if you remember, he went on RTE and he was like, this is outrageous and we're looking into it, and next thing he's being arrested and there's all this information gap. Meanwhile, back here, and it was kind of like Saipan in a way. I tell you, when we do an international story, we do it good, and the Olympic Council of Ireland, as it was then, most of them were back here. They hadn't a clue what was going on.
Yeah.
Not a clue. Knew none of this. Knew nothing about ticket contracts. Knew nothing about what the genesis of this was.
Yeah, well, we get into it tomorrow. It would turn out Pat Hickey had kept a lot of that information very much to himself. The OCI board.
Yeah, himself and some close allies.
Yeah, but OCI board, chief executive, treasurer, all these people very much in the dark. So, that's on the way tomorrow. Keep an eye out for it.
If I could just say one more thing. One funny thing looking back in this period was how quickly the controversy was followed by a big achievement, sometimes on the same day, either day after. You're like, how do these things happen on the same day as well?
Yeah. Emails before we get into some stories, no particular order. We had mentioned Ashley Young gave an interview about Antonio Conte and how, frankly, weird he was as Young's manager at Inter, calling them in for training 9 a.m. and then training pushed back from 10 to 11, then 12, then go have lunch, then actually training's pushed back again to 2 to 3. And this was happening routinely, just messing them around, driving them nuts, like, what is this? And Young concluded he thinks it was to build morale, like in opposition to our manager. But that at least we'd have our hatred of him in common. Hi, Joe and Co. Second time, long time. The Antonio Conte chat on Monday's Bits and Bobs immediately made me think of Lieutenant Herbert Sobel in Band of Brothers. Particularly fresh in my mind, we were recently in Normandy visiting some of the D-Day sites, which prompted a rewatch of the series. So episode 1, Currahee, is still rattling around the head. Great show. One maybe for a movie, TV series, podcast review perhaps. Sobel, brilliantly played by David Schwimmer, a.k.a. Ross from Friends, of course. Deliberately brutal man, petty, unpredictable, and he did it in part to bond Easy Company together in their shared hatred of him, and it worked. He helped forge them into one of the standout companies in the 506th PIR. The problem is Sobel had a limited shelf life. He built the group, but ultimately he was not the man who led them into battle. If Conte is Sobel, you do wonder who his Dick Winters is, played by Damien Lewis. Keep up the great work, says Owen. Yeah, I mean, Young made that point that whatever bit of siege mentality against the world, a siege mentality against you, the manager, did have a short shelf life with Antonio Conte. It was strange.
Have you guys seen Band of Brothers?
Yeah, a long time ago now.
So good.
Yeah.
And it's a great reference to David Trimmer's Herbert Sobel. Much maligned.
Can't imagine David Swimmer playing a brutal kind of
Probably what
character.
attracted him to it, you know? You get so boxed in as being
yeah.
Ross Geller for your life.
Yeah.
He also played Robert Kardashian with the Plum in that O.J. Simpson series.
So he did.
But the Herbert Sobel character, the one thing he does not share with Conte is like Conte also has kind of like a, you know, honors to back it up. Like he did achieve success, whereas Herbert Sobel was actually like a coward who was like tactically inept. Even in the training drills when they're preparing in England before the D-Day landings, he's like leading them into the wrong field and stuff. He was just good at the part of like, you know, whipping up angst from everybody, whereas he didn't have Conte's actual tactical acumen.
Can I just say Will had no warning this email was coming? This is top of the head information the man has. What's going on in there? What's going on in
I'm
that
a
head?
big Band of Brothers fan. I'm a huge Band of Brothers fan. So I'm glad this guy... I might have sent that email actually under one of my many burners that I used to infiltrate the show.
Oh, dear. Tom Moore, just picking up on the Rory chat we had on Monday. You know, we were just going to... You know, he's obviously off the back of... a bad week at the St. Jude where he was third last, and you know, it's just kind of like strange season. And Tom Moore said, if Rory wants to win more big ones, he simply has to play regularly. It's as simple as that, or just retire. Showing up every 6 weeks ain't going to do it, says Tom. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, we do have the perception that he's not playing much. And then I saw his press conference today at the BMW, and he was making the point, I'm not playing as little as you're all suggesting. Like, I'm playing 5 of the next 6 weeks. I actually play boat tours, you know, unlike a Scotty Scheffler. So I'm going to be in Ireland. I'm going to be in London. I'm going to be in the Middle East. I'm actually playing a lot at the moment, which was a fair point. And he said, I'm here, you know, he didn't say it in this way as such, but the implication was there. I'm here at this press conference with you guys. Today's my daughter's first day of school. Quite like to be there, and I'm stuck with you. So, you know, don't say I'm as uncommitted maybe as you're all implying.
That's a very fair point to raise that we didn't mention the other day, the European Tour piece of it, because obviously he won the Irish Open last year. Like when I said he hadn't won since then, I was actually thinking of the PJ Tour going up against the big rivals, but obviously the Irish Open win was fantastic. It was a huge moment with the Eagle and the last out of the playoff. However, that doesn't help him with the majors. Those tournaments are all post-major season, so while he is right in what he says, he's playing more and it's spread across a longer period of time than, say, a Scheffler. The question still remains about what's the best calibration to get the majors right, which is what he would tell you himself. He's probably all he really cares about now.
It's true. On his game, by the way, he just said a lot of bad habits had crept into his swing. He knows what to fix, and it's just a case of hitting a gazillion balls on the range until it's kind of grained in again. So he's on the case, is how he kind of pitched it. But he does, I mean, you get the distinct impression this week and maybe the next couple of weeks might come too soon for him.
He needs an AI tool, perhaps, to aid with his swing. Would you recommend?
Look, I will make a suggestion. I know his agent. I'll send it on to him.
I think Michael Bannon is over there, apparently. Maybe he's Michael. You're no longer required. Yeah. I just need a Kazam moment.
Is it not as much a symptom of the golf year being so front-loaded now that it kind of falls off a cliff a bit?
Yeah, well, I mean, he went on after the Open. I think they all went to Greece together and had a great time. And really, like, there is that sense when the Opens finish in July, it's like school's out.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
None of it matters. Yeah. There would be something funny, like Scotty Scheffler has been consistent all year and like top 5 all the time. Like if Rory were to like, you know, have a Kazam moment and win the FedEx next week, then like in the Player of the Year conversation, he could just have pitched up at the Masters, won the FedEx. You'd have to give him Player of the Year.
Yeah.
He was asked, by the way, a little question about all these Live boys and will they be welcome back?
Rory, Scotty was asked about the possibility of Live guys coming back and whether they bring value, in your opinion. Are there guys, if it goes away, that should be allowed back?
I mean, I'd argue, have they brought value to Live? You know, I think PJ Tour is in a really good spot.
There you go. It's not exactly a welcome back.
Bryson and Rahm do add value.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think the PGA Tour is a little bit deluded about how well it's doing. Like I saw Jim Nance was interviewed for The Athletic as well, and he was like, the game is thriving without them. I don't think that's the perception of how things have been. A little bit of kind of an echo chamber there.
I'd like to see the numbers that back that up, because I would say they're not.
The numbers that back that up are probably the purses, but that's kind of artificial because they were keeping up with Live. Like, you know, what we were saying the other day, when that reckoning happens, it'll be interesting. But Bryson is probably the one player who does literally add value. I actually could see people literally saying, I will watch this weekend. Rahm as good as he is, might not fall into that category.
I agree.
Like him being there in the totality, the idea that more players are there, top players probably feeds that. But Bryson's probably one of the few guys. Bryson and Rory and Scotty are probably, after the two lads, Bryson's probably the.
Oh, he is.
But I think Roy, he's talking as much in the round there as about one or two individuals, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Because like no one else. Is there anyone else who would?
Like you could say, well, on playing ability, like the likes of Joachim Niemann and stuff. But in terms of like, they're playing tonight at 9 p.m. I'll sit down and watch them. I think Bryson is the only one. Ram is, I agree.
Yeah, where's the Stardust? That's the Stardust.
Like Ram's there in a kind of a, geez, you won the tournament and you held off the likes of John Ram, blah blah blah. It gives a tournament win a certain kudos, but no one's like, I got to see Ram play.
Yeah, because in the PGA Championship, which was kind of a bit maligned for being quite dull, Aaron Rai, like he was the big beast at the top, kind of going for, but it wasn't like this. Oh, you have to turn on.
No.
Whereas I would argue the moment of the golfing year after Rory maybe win the Masters was the Bryson British Open. What's going on? He's out in the course, like, and I know that was kind of controversial, but if that's a different golfer, that doesn't cut through. He is magnetic in a way that I actually think maybe people don't want to admit sometimes because he's not that well liked, but he is appointment viewing as much as a one golfer can be in that kind of sport.
Yeah, well, I don't think Rory not of a mind to be overly nice about it. One last one. Aoife from Sandy Cove. We were noting it was 30 years to the day since Beckham from the halfway line. 17th of April 96. I was a soon to be 15-year-old. I'd attended Man United 0, Leeds 0 at Old Trafford. We were there to support Leeds, my brother's chosen club. I was an Arsenal fan. 11-year-old brother. Wanted autographs afterwards. Gary Pallister, check. Nigel Worthington, check. Lucas Radaby, check. What a list. Throughout this whole time, though, there was a young Manchester United player floating around, openly offering autographs and photographs. He had hair like a pair of curtains. One David Beckham. My dad shoved my shoulder. You should get your photo taken with him. I'm telling you, he's going to be the next big thing. As a painfully self-conscious 14-year-old girl with a too short bob, wearing brown men's Pepe jeans, matching desert boots, and a cream brown knit jumper, I declined. Roll forward to August. Saturday afternoon, tennis club, where we spent a lot of family time. Sky Sports in the background. And who scores from the halfway line? My dad took great delight and has multiple times since. I remain to this day one of presumably very few millennial women or men to have turned down an open photo op with David Beckham.
He was putting in early prep for his knighthood.
Yeah, your audio brought me right back. You're as in nostalgia, Aoife from Sandy Cove. Aoife, that's what a photo it would be.
Were you guys autograph people?
No.
As kids even?
Never.
Yes.
Never.
You were?
Yes.
Any good ones?
I can't. I can't remember. I used to. It was GAA. I had a GAA autograph book, so like I would have had all the Kerry 4-in-a-row team, the Offaly 82 team, a lot of the Kilkenny and Cork hurling teams. So my father used to go to the All-Stars every year, and it was a big thing back in those days, you know. And I would give him my book, and he would bring it, and he'd start it, and it would go the whole way around all the tables and come back the next day. So I would end up with a mixture of county chairman, county secretaries, and a lot of famous Gaelic footballers.
It's died out now, I presume.
Yeah, I feel like the camera phone has replaced the art.
I don't think it's. It's not a thing now, is it?
Yeah. But you'd rather have a photo anyway, so the advent of the camera phone is probably a lot better.
Yeah. I always remember we were down, we used to spend a lot of time in Ballina, and my little brother, my mum went to Dunn Stores in Ballina and came back, and he was like, yeah, we got an autograph of some guy. And I was like, who? It's like Jack Charlton. Okay, that is good.
I would have had some of the Ireland soccer team back in the day as well. When I was younger.
I remember getting Luke Fitzgerald's autograph back in the day.
And now?
Yeah, this is when I was very young, when he was first started to play for Ireland. It's funny.
Does he know that?
Probably not.
Does now?
Yeah.
Should tell him. And still framed in the house. It's unbelievable.
I know, yeah. My prized possession.
They were a thing. It was.
It was a thrill.
I mean, there was. It was.
And the bar was low as well. If you saw someone even mildly famous, you were like, "Oh, can you sign my napkin?"
Like, especially back in the 80s. I mean, because there was
grim times.
There was so little. No, but there was very little sports on TV.
Yeah,
very little when you compare it to the world right now.
Let's get into a few stories. The AFL raid. Colm Keys here. Somebody, just by coincidence, somebody high enough profile on the GAA was on to me last night going, I want to come on the show and talk about this next week. I'm not happy. We're in a slippery slope here. So, Colm Keys is the story. AFL clubs are, he writes, showing serious renewed interest again in Irish players. Oisin Mullen has gone over there. He's now in his 4th year with Geelong and is considered one of the best kind of man markers in the game. Taggers, yeah. So they're like, God, these Irish guys, there's talent there. And obviously we know about Kobe. So in Athlone, there was kind of a combine where there were 15 to 20 of Ireland's best young footballers there hoping to make the grade. Now I thought, God, is this like a Ty Kennelly, just an AFL combine? But it was actually it's just one club, Richmond, who were over. And they don't have a big footprint with Irish players down the years, but they were over. Sydney Swans had a similar gathering in Roscrea recently. And so you've got people like Charlie McMorrow, who had a kind of breakout year with Dublin. He was at the one in Athlone. Tim Deering, who was off the bench for Dublin, he was there. Leitrim midfielder Barry McNulty was there. Kerry's All-Ireland under-20 winning midfield pairing, Evan Boyle and Daniel Kirby. The word there I saw an Examiner headline saying they've both been offered contracts, Evan Boyle and Daniel Kirby, under-20 midfield winning partnership, you know. Swans have taken an interest in Keane Rafferty, the Dublin minor footballer. You know, you take McMorrow, I mentioned, he's 21, like he finished up with 1-8 from half back for Dublin last championship. So, I mean, I don't know what you can say really. There's that thing akin to the Kobe chat, which is you can't begrudge him, but if the numbers start racking up, you know, it's funny. Column adds at his end of the piece. The GAA and the AFL are in talks currently about, you know, restoring the international rules series. Haven't been played since 2017. There is this like we're friends across the world relationship, and the Irish migration there is huge, and that the international rules history, and it's a great thing. But I don't know, they just come over and ransack. It'll start to kind of rankle. No,
I'm curious what the guy, without stealing his thunder, why he was so exercised last night when he contacted you about
may
it.
have a Kerry interest and may not want to see 2 under-20 midfield starlets go.
So how many? I just looked it up. How many Kerry footballers have gone to the AFL since 1985?
I think there's like 4 or 5 there at the moment.
Ty Kennelly.
Ty Kennelly went as well. I want to say 7.
10.
10.
You know, it's hardly a major drain in 41 years, is it?
No.
But how many?
One every 4 years.
In the last 5 years.
Let's talk about the current and into the next 5 years.
Yeah, but I'm coaching an under-16 football Gaelic team, and we you know, it's a small village with small numbers. Panel of about 20, give or take, but we rarely ever have that. And because of the nights of the week that we play our match on, 2 of our best players are never with us. One is in the Leinster Rugby Academy doing pathway there on a Monday night, and another is in the Drogheda United Academy doing a pathway there. So every sport always has another sport impinging on it in some way or another. It's just these are slightly older, so it's more high profile.
Differentiate though and say, well, look, staying involved in Irish sport, you know, that's great, but actually leaving the country, leaving the GAA world, it feels different to people. As opposed to, oh God, listen, he got a contract at Munster Rugby, good luck to him. Yeah, I think people would be more okay with that.
No, it doesn't feel any different to me.
Okay.
I think, you know, actually, if you want to talk about something that has been really damaged, then the ladies' game has been really, really damaged.
Yeah, but what if? Well, I mean, you know, like 40 players of their brightest and best. But like, what if?
And you look at the standard of football in the ladies' championship in the last couple of years, and it's really suffering because of this drain of players.
At what point would you have a problem with it? Like, if Ireland started losing its 10 best under-20s most years, would you not think, God, now we've lost 40, 50 players?
Yeah, okay, then we're looking at a problem. I can't see that happening, but I could be completely naive.
I don't know either. I've given you a very extreme example, but like, if you're that,
and I come from Langford, where we've had, I think, 2, isn't it? One just came back, and then we Mickey Quinn before that, and a county like Langford cannot afford to lose one. Yeah. But I just feel that it's professional sport.
Yeah.
I'd like to see, and I know what you're saying about the more recent evidence, but because it's more recent, and we're seeing that there's an increase in the number of, I don't know what the numbers are, but a little increase in the numbers who are going out. I'd like to see the 5 years on that to see how long they're lasting there. and be, if they're going at 20 and they're back by 23, they've had an opportunity to live the life of a professional athlete in a lovely outdoor environment in a nice country. Are you going to begrudge them that? Absolutely not. If it becomes a thing where, in the case, so we've Oisin Mullen, for example, who looks like he is going to have a full and fulfilling career out there, I'd like to see the numbers in a couple of years and see how many people that's happening to.
There's a degree with this of like this could be much ado about nothing.
And this whole compensation thing as well. That's something else I struggle with. I mean, who do you compensate? Do you compensate the parents for all the effort they put into? Do you compensate their school? Do you compensate their club? If they played rugby for Ashburn, do you compensate them as well because they learn certain skills there? You're getting into a whole. Plus, we don't own these players; they're amateur. I just don't see the game of Gaelic football has yet been affected, and I can't see it being affected in the short term. I could be proven wrong, but that's my view on it.
And when people give out about it, I'm always like, but what can you do to stop it? What do you?
Yeah,
do?
but that's the other thing.
Zero.
Do you say you can't ban them from holding, combines in like a college?
No, it's free country.
It's not as if they're doing it in a GAA club, and you would say, okay, maybe you wouldn't want to allow that. But I don't really see what the GAA could do to stop players from going.
Take Kobe McDonald. I mean, I am sure that had he chosen to stay in Mayo, he would have been given employment anywhere that he pretty much wanted. He would have been looked after in any way that he wanted to be looked after in his life, to play football for Mayo. He'd have a job somewhere, like we see with a lot of top inter-county footballers. They get looked after that way. He wanted to experience, I can only assume that he wanted to experience that life as a professional athlete, to give it a go and see how he gets on. He may be back in 2 years. We don't know.
Sure.
He may not.
Yeah, we have to accept that this is an amateur sport, and there's a constraint in place in what can be done to keep players from doing. Even what you outlined there. Oh, I'm sure we could have moved heaven and earth to give this guy a job just to keep him. That doesn't sound like necessarily healthy either. Just kind of like inventing a position or giving a hypothetical player.
I wasn't saying he was a position.
I'm not saying this is Kobe. I'm saying
county players.
Any county. No, I know what happens.
Have been getting jobs for
Not
years.
very healthy either. I just think there's a constraint in place. Obviously, I would like to see all the best Gaelic footballers playing Gaelic football rather than going abroad. But there's only so much you can do.
But they're not. We're already not getting the best Gaelic footballers because some of them are playing hurling, some of them are playing soccer, some of them are playing rugby.
Yeah.
But I'm with Joe. It feels different, even though I take the point. It actually isn't. There's something about if they're playing in Ireland in a different sport, it doesn't feel like we've lost them or they've been taken or they've been poached. Whereas
I don't see that makes any difference.
The Colin Keyes' piece, it does seem like there's been a concerted effort to increase the numbers. Like now, one-off clubs are doing these big combines. It's not like, as you said, Ty Kennelly coming over, casting the net to bring back 2 guys to Australia. It's like, no, one club is going over to see. And that's what they should be doing. It makes perfect sense. There's so many transferable skills. It's probably been under-tapped.
But should we have the NFL coming in doing combines and looking at kickers? I mean, there's like Gaelic. It happens to be that in Ireland, our elite athletes have tended towards field sports. One of the 4 field sports that we play here, the main 4 field sports. But many of them have extremely transferable athletic ability.
Oh, for sure.
And that's something that's been recognised now.
Yeah. Well, we'll watch that space. We won't touch on it next week. I mean, I think bottom line, nobody can do anything about it, and you couldn't begrudge any individual. So at a certain point, that's conversation over. Back in 1 sec. Welcome back. John Greene is here. Will Slattery is here. Just to mention, we touched on it earlier yesterday with Damon Delaney and Gary Breen, who did a brilliant bumper Premier League preview, and I had asked Damon at that stage, it was likely, if not fully done, where should Troy Parrott go? And he said Real Betis, before I even got the question out. A no-brainer, Real Betis, who are playing in the Champions League this year. The style of football will better suit him, and his the technician that he is, as opposed to the physical athlete. And yes, he could do a year in West Ham, but then you're back in the Premier League and you're getting the snot kicked out of you again. So he felt it was a great move for Parrott under Pellegrini as well. And also, like, you go to Real Betis, they invest 20 million in you. They're going to make sure that you do well. They're not going to throw a 20 million asset to the Wolves if he gets, has a shaky period or gets off to a bad start. It's in their interest for him to work. So he's gone. It seems 20 million is the number. Nice 12 million profit for AZ. I mean, they really swooped in and got a good bargain from Spurs for 8 million. Seems to have accepted a lower salary than he might have received at West Ham. Belvedere will receive €200,000 as well. And obviously Pellegrini is the manager, experienced, has done a very good job there. He ended a nearly 20-year trophy drought for them in 22. They won the Copa del Rey and obviously Champions League now. And they lost the UEFA Conference League final to Chelsea as well. So, he's doing a good job. Club seem to be in a nice place. Seville, lovely part of the world. John, you took the words out of my mouth when you came over earlier. We just touched on this briefly and you sort of said, listen, I don't know, is it Troy driving this or his agent? But God, he feels to be having a very well-managed career all of a sudden.
Well, yeah, after what happened when he was at Tottenham and it didn't work out for him, he seems to be either through himself or his agent or both of them working this out together. You still get the sense that it's all part of plotting a way back to the Premier League and that this is the next step in that journey. Listening to Gary and Damien yesterday, without having their expertise, I think everybody who follows, or most people who follow Irish football, instinctively feel this is a good move for everybody. It's a good move for him, it's a good move for Betis, and it's a good move for the Irish team.
Well, I mean, and for us, I mean, sure, West Ham Championship, fine, but like, I'm quite looking forward to a Sunday night where I'm watching Troy at the Nou Camp.
That's a play
Troy against
Champions League.
Real Madrid's Mourinho.
Yeah. You won't get kicked around there. There won't be any physicality there, I'm sure.
And Champions League for sure,
Champions League, yeah.
I just think we want to see, because we kind of, he's been talked about for so long and it didn't work out in Spurs. And then he's just been so good for the last few seasons and he had such an incredible year.
Yeah.
Or season, last season. We all kind of now really will be tuning in to watch Real Betis to see how he does with this next, and I think he's really well equipped for that.
Yeah.
For that team.
I go back and forth on it so much, but it's funny because like listening to Damien yesterday in particular, like so vehemently say like English football, no. Not only does it not suit him at club level, it won't prepare him well for the Ireland team. But I'm such like an English football simp. I think the kids say that like part of me does want to see him just in that cauldron that like I'm kind of engaged with every week, and it is intriguing to me the idea that like that should be shut off. He basically saying he can't compete in that environment or can't excel in that environment, which is kind of.
I didn't take that from what.
That's what I was taking. He can't thrive in that environment, which is kind of, I think, like almost say it's like not a dig, but like it is kind of a criticism.
I think the way it was framed was that he can't cope yet. He's not ready yet. He's on his way to. I still would say he will end up if this goes well for him. He will end up back in England in a couple of years.
What was the genesis of sympathizer?
I don't know what the actual long word means, but it just means someone who's kind of like
sympathetic towards,
excessively kind of sympathetic
thrall
towards something. Yeah, enthralled to. Yeah, okay. I'm a simp for the English.
Never heard it used like pyramid. That before.
And it's just curious to me. I agree with you. Like I don't like so Real Betis for a couple of years' time, and then what does he go then? Or maybe he doesn't plan on coming back to English football.
Maybe not.
Which would be strange. It would be unusual for a player from this. From Ireland or England or this part of Scotland.
Well, Jude Bellingham is doing it his way.
I just look forward to him doing tearful interviews in Spanish with their Tony O'Donoghue. Every time he did an interview for about 6 months, Troy, it was just amazing. So it's great. I mean, it's very.
And
exciting.
he just has that way about him that everybody just instinctively wishes him well.
He's very endearing.
Yeah.
Speaker and kind of communicator. Very natural. Premier League does return, of course. I mean, it's all starting now. Again, bumper review or preview yesterday. So we won't double up on that. Arsenal Friday, Man United Hull lunchtime Saturday, Liverpool Newcastle Sunday, Duffer with Keith Andrews Saturday 5:30 home to Spurs. It's just great stuff. Match of the Day have announced their new lineup: Thomas Frank, Ashley Young, and Robbie Keane. Did not see this coming. Keane out of work, having left Ferencváros, and I presume he probably thought heading to a dugout somewhere. And Match of the Day is a very nice shop window. Look at the way this guy speaks about the game, says some chairman somewhere. It seems Martin Keown, Dion Dublin, Stephen Warnock have got the bullet. I don't know if that's true, though. That's TBC. But there was a big piece in the Telegraph just about, this comes up a lot lately, the decline of Match of the Day viewing figures. Apparently their digital numbers are up massively, which is what their head of sport likes. But almost the exodus. So Alan Shearer is asked to be cut back to 1 a month. Micah Richards down to 8 per season. They're all just running to do their podcasts. So the Telegraph piece was Gary Lineker has given the BBC another giant headache. The Premier League's soap opera, the theatre of debate that surrounds the actual ball kicking, is now fast migrating to these glorified barroom chats on podcasts. where there are no bans on swearing, no sensitivity checks. The informal vibe leads to looser chat. Viral clips are the new currency, and the BBC's staid sofa sit-downs have never been competitive in this area. So even if the BBC thought it had done itself a favour by encouraging Lineker's departure, it now turns out that it might have been better off with the status quo, high salary and rows on Twitter notwithstanding. Lineker's latest project has only accelerated the fragmentation of the sports broadcast market. I think it's probably giving a bit too much credit to Gary Lineker. I don't think he's some early adopter leading light of this.
Kind of an easy... It's kind of like an easy hit, isn't it? Match of the day. I kind of put it in the same bracket as the Late Show and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It belongs to a different era. It doesn't quite fit in anymore.
No.
We don't. The coolest thing you could probably say about it, and the same with the Late Show probably, and those programs of that ilk, we don't need them anymore. We don't need to watch them. We're not missing anything by not watching them, because it's all there. We've seen it all. If we want to see it, we've done it, and we're certainly not going to hear anything that will be particularly of interest to us. It's just had its day. That Saturday night highlight
10
show
as well. It feels so late. It just seems so kind of a different time. It's like 10:30. We're going to show you a in-depth highlight show. As you say, we've seen all the clips. I actually think their tactical breakdowns are actually pretty good on Match of the Day when I do watch it.
That's why
I don't think it's not like soundbite heavy, but like it's good actually. Like Rooney's on it sometimes.
There's zero good debate.
Yeah, it's not.
Zero.
But if I want to have good, I listened to Damien and Gary yesterday or something of that ilk as I'm going about my business doing something else. I'm just not going to sit down anymore and watch tactical breakdown.
Yeah, no, I know, but I actually think it does what it says in the tin. It's actually not like it's actually doing a good job in what it wants to do. It just feels inconsequential now because we have such access to the clips.
Kind of
We
a
don't need to
cheap
see the
shot, really,
goals.
now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit unfair.
It's unfair.
But it is also a grain of truth in it. Because it is tough with things like... So I will still watch Match of the Day, and sometimes without knowing the results. But and it's never for the debate. The debate's non-existent because it's a bit like the Sunday game. It's like so many games and got to keep it moving. So it's just... But if there's someone good there, like Rooney can be good.
He is.
Danny Murphy, if he breaks down a game, he always does it so well. There's a couple. Like Alan Shearer's no loss. I tell you that. Like his breakdowns are...
Absolutely not.
Oh my God. Look how much space he gave him. That's literally...
But you can hear these people elsewhere.
And you can hear them
if you
elsewhere.
want
But but if you get a good tactical breakdown, it really is kind of worthwhile with the pictures if you're looking to catch up. But it's amazing, possibly because my own attention span is shrinking, and the same applies to the Sunday game. You're like, this goes on for 2 hours. It just feels so slow paced. You're just like, can we pick it up? You know what I mean? Some part of it that way just feels like this is so meandering and long, even though it's actually like packed, wedged, and doesn't have time. It both is way too long and feels very like no room for debate at the same time.
I've always thought the Sunday game starts far too late. I know we're talking about Match of the Day here.
9:30's fine.
It's way too late.
But your games are only over at 6.
2 hours and it starts too late. It needs to be 8 o'clock.
But you can't.
It needs to be 8 o'clock. It needs to be an 8 o'clock game because they shouldn't need to show the 4 p.m. games in that much depth anyway because they've only just happened. I just have always thought the Sunday game because by Monday morning, because with Match of the Day it's Saturday night, I can watch it back on a Sunday. I'm not going to go back to the Sunday game on a Monday and record it and watch it.
But the difference with the Sunday game and Match of the Day is Sunday game is showing you stuff that you will not have seen.
That's true. Yeah,
it's earlier,
but it is amazing. Like the part of that I agree with, and it's not Match of the Day's fault. It is very difficult now for terrestrial television when you have like Neville, Ian Wright, Roy Keane, Jamie Carragher, Michael Richards, Shearer, Lineker, like just talking freely, cursing, going off in wild tangents, getting angry with each other, like as natural as you could imagine. And it's performative, but as natural as you could imagine they would ever be. And then when you watch a clip from like a television studio with couches and mics on their collars, it just seems so like...
yesterday.
Dead and and kind of safe and staid was the word and just like fake.
But that's what we mean. It's that world, the world of Match of the Day and the Late Show and all these programs doesn't exist anymore, really.
But I do agree the podcast and these these ones were the big ones we're talking about. It has really like accelerated that in terms of the style. It's just exposed how the style is so stiff versus what's out there now. So it might have felt a little bit old anyway, but next to what we're seeing on a YouTube channel, it's wild.
Especially because they've taken the people who used to be on those shows.
Exactly.
It's not just like
totally different.
It's not just three of us who aren't They've taken the big pundits and they've just plugged them into a bits and bobs, basically, football bits and bobs.
Because say like if you want an early adopter, the Guardian's Football Weekly was going 20 years ago.
Yeah.
15 years ago, but it didn't seem to show up the television studio as much, and they were just as relaxed in Football Weekly. But it's because you've taken those same people and just been like injected them with Technicolor.
But it's funny, if Match of the Day turned around at the start of this season and it was like basically kind of an overlap style, I guarantee the Telegraph would write an article being like,
no, I get that.
God,
Telegraph
tradition is gone.
Telegraph and the BBC,
Like, you think about how lucky we were in this country for so long to have with the three big sports of with soccer, GAA and rugby, to have the kind of type of punditry that we had for so long.
I know.
Colourful characters, trouble around every corner,
Oh yeah, listening back to The Mill and the Hill from 06 and just the lads were just box office.
I just got suggested the other day that the thing where Dunphy doesn't know they're on air. It comes up. We're not, are we?
And Neymar was
fucking
dreading it,
Bill. And
Eamon,
we're not, are we? We are. And then the class early is like, I'm sorry for that inexactitude. And then he was like, sorry.
Eamon Dovey looks down the camera. It's like,
I know.
It's not about Butch Harmon. He's looking directly to the viewer.
And Diddy getting a bet on. I don't know what he's up to on his phone, but the phone just like goes down.
Diddy Hammond doesn't take his eyes off his screen. One of the great moments in Irish TV
But I'm
history.
just saying, we were.
No, it's a golden age.
Yeah.
Golden age. Okay.
Would it work now? On TV?
Hard to know.
Oh, you're asking the right man.
No, would it work on TV? It would work in this format, I think. Still, of course it would. But would it work in that kind of studio format, TV format?
Well, RT decided they didn't want that.
Well, RT
made
a conscious decision.
A lot of these people could still be doing television if RT wanted them to do television.
Yeah.
They decided we don't want this. Whether that's what the viewers wanted, that's what they decided. It's not like they all retired. Some of them were, I suppose, a bit older than others, but a lot of them could be on tomorrow.
I think the Bill Giles Dunphy thing works forever.
Yeah.
Because there was serious stuff in there as well. I mean, people remember the funny bits, but a lot of it was like good, serious chat.
And then Brady coming in a bit after as the straight man.
Yeah. No, look, and his credentials as well.
Yeah. No, anyway.
One thing that has disappeared is the wild card, Each pundit often slots into kind of the Dunphy, Giles Brady thing. The wild card has kind of disappeared from sports TV.
Yeah.
Kind of the Dunphy kind of person.
You think about it too, and you think about the kind of characters that there were, and Dunphy being the king of it. But, like Brawley as well, and Spillane, just how articulate they were and how good they were at arguing an utterly illogical.
The same applies to George Hook. Was outrageously articulate.
Yeah. All were columnists. And all wrote their own stuff a lot, And I think that was part of it, Dunphy was a brilliant writer, Brodie was a brilliant writer, George was a really good writer. They just, Spillane's a good writer. So they just had that all-round thing to be able to use words in a way that was compelling for people.
When some people ask me, does this person write their own column? I'm like, nobody could ghostwrite Joe Brawley. Like, no one could come up with that kind. Like some of these guys, one-off intellectual, wordsmiths, no one can replicate.
I suppose it's kind of a whole thing about how few of our written word columnists in the modern media write their own stuff anymore. And you lose something in that.
What have I got? A few quick things to touch on. We wrap this up. So this was an email, long-time listener, I think third-time mailer. Oof. I was listening to the discussion about Ireland potentially hosting European Athletics Championships down the line. The conclusion, this was our chat with Carl Denny, seemed to be that we don't have a suitable facility and building one would take too long. So I did a bit of digging. For the 2014 Commonwealth Games, Hampden Park was temporarily converted into an athletic stadium by raising the pitch and installing a temporary track. The solution cost in the region of 10 to 14 million, and the games generated hundreds of millions for the Scottish economy. Hundreds? Don't know about that. Why couldn't Ireland do something similar? Could Croke Park, the Aviva or Porky Queeve have a temporary raised track installed for a championship and then return to being a football or GAA stadium afterwards? Obviously, there would be plenty of hurdles. Winky face. Maybe we don't need to build an athletic stadium after all. Maybe we just need to borrow a GAA stadium for a few weeks. Regards, Sean. Sean, it is worth looking into. I don't have the expertise. I'll raise it with our superiors. If we could do it, it'd be good. You know, athletics in this country booming. Carl Denny had a piece on why on the Irish Independent website. Worth checking out. Why, 80 years Ireland's been attending European Athletics Championships. Never had an edition like this. We've won 25 medals total in these 80 years. 25 medals, 80 years, and yet 8 of those have come just since 2024. So why now? I think there's a bunch of things. Like there's been a running boom. Probably a COVID thing and probably just happening anyway. So Athletics Ireland have record membership this year, 78,000 people. That figure in the last 20 years has quadrupled in 20 years, up to 80,000. So, the park runs, the couch to 5K, people like Will Slattery doing the marathon. He's hating every minute of it, by the way. Every day. Not every day. But anytime he comes up, I hate it. I hate it.
A big day tomorrow.
What are you doing?
I have to break through the half marathon barrier and I've been able to get to that. It's getting to the next stage, so I have to do 23 kilometers minimum tomorrow. I have to.
I feel so sorry for him. It's like such a lonely pursuit. He's not doing with anyone. He's not meeting any new people. He's just out there on the highways and byways. It's so grim.
Only 65 days ago, Joe.
Lots.
If you're not enjoying it now, you're in trouble. Because when you start getting into the 16 and the 18 mile runs.
Look, I've started, so I'll finish. I want to get to the end of
I
it.
didn't say you wouldn't. I just said it's not going to get any.
Well, you can't enjoy it. You can't enjoy it any less.
That's it.
Well,
I don't see.
I think that's my point. I think you possibly could.
Poor guy. 65 days of this. Though Col's piece said lots of clubs now have long waiting lists. He was saying this. They just don't have enough coaches. You need obviously ratios of coaches to people, to kids. Says coaching, the coaches, even the few dozen coaches we have who operate at the elite level, get very little support. It's all very voluntary. Like one of them said as well in the piece to Cahill, like the drop off after the age of 14 is huge. When you go to the Connacht Juvenile Championships, the participation is horrendous. So we've got a lot of amateur runners and recreational ones, but like big drop off when it gets to the business end. He said, Athletics Ireland's done great work upskilling the volunteer coaches at club level. So it means your average 14-year-old is in better hands than they were 20 years ago. What else do you say? The high performance budget has tripled in a decade, gone from 1.2 million in 2017 to 3.4 million this year. And apparently the Sport Ireland Institute is very good in terms of physios, doctors, physiologists, nutritionists, psychologists, strength conditioning. That's an area where Ireland apparently is truly world class. But in terms of development, we're kind of more, the carding system and everything, we're more reward someone when they've done something special as opposed to kind of guiding a potential talent through. We still lose a lot of talent was the feeling. But so a sense of like things have really improved. There's been a boom in the last 20 years. We're doing things better, but there's still a lot of wastage. And Carl was saying, like, we won 4 medals this time around. Like, could really be aspiring to 8-9 medals was the gist.
Yeah, look, I could give you, and time won't cover it, and I'd lose my train of thought anyway. I could give you loads more reasons on top of that as to why this is starting to happen. But the first one I'm going to give is that I really believe that our young people are different. They're not as, I won't speak for your age, but I'll speak for my age. They're not as burdened by the past as the generations before them. You hear them speaking and there's no limit to their ambition. They don't feel like they're held back in any way. You listen to Kate O'Connor talking and you could be listening to an athlete from anywhere in the world. They don't look at things like the way we used to and say, oh God, we're winning. When's it going to go wrong? They don't think like that. So that's the first thing I'd like to say, because it's very pronounced and it's something that's very different from 10 years ago.
Do you think that's because parenting is more sensitive, softer, schooling more sensitive, softer?
I didn't think of that.
We treat confidence as an asset that has to be nurtured. Do you think it's all those things?
I certainly, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that, but it's certainly being confident isn't a sin anymore.
It would have been in your day.
Sorry?
Would have been more so in your day, would it? Yeah.
Outward displays of, and it's not even bragging or show. It's just as a statement of fact now. And I kind of think as well, the national boundaries are kind of not as hard as they used to be. People are kind of more of the world now.
I think the internet's done that. Information is so
information
available.
Is
yeah.
But on the bigger picture, it's funny because it goes back to Rio. really in ways in 2016. And around that time, there was an awful lot of things happening in different areas that were starting to come together. It still took a while for it to happen because there was so much of it. But people will forget that Leo Varadkar was the minister for sport once upon a time, and he bought into the idea of the sports campus, and Pascal Donoghue after him, and that's an amazing place now. It's over 500 acres, and it's just an amazing place. And everything you hear about the sport, I thought it was really interesting to hear Adeleke after her race talking specifically about the sport institute. It was actually pointed, her interview. That started to come on streamer just before Rio. Really, it really started to take place. And around that time, because I remember writing about it at the time, there was a change happening whereby the Pat Hickeys of this world, and we can have a whole other conversation about him, but he had different strengths as well, as he was like anybody in that position. But the idea of these volunteer power brokers, of which he was one, and there were many others across Irish sport, that was starting to be pulled away. The rug was starting to be pulled from under that, and it was about having professional people.
Yeah.
So
Things like term limits.
You
can't just be there for 29 years and run it like you're on FIFA.
Yeah. And you
John Delaney the same.
You can't go off and sign a contract that the board doesn't know a thing about. You now have proper chief executives. You've had high performance directors. You have all these layers in place. These are professional people, and the difficulty that was happening was that the Blazers, if we call it, and it's not a nice term because a lot of these are very, very good people, were starting to feel a little bit disenfranchised, and as if they didn't. So it was finding that balance between finding a role for the volunteers and letting the professionals do their job.
Yeah.
And we've kind of come through that rocky road, and we're seeing it now. We've had our blips, like the rowing was a blip, and we've had our blips in other sports. But around that time, I was looking at it, the 6 of the 8 most funded sports around the time of Rio lost their most senior high performance person, because we weren't able to keep up with these people who had these ideas, and they were being poached, like Billy Walsh being an example. They were being poached and they were brought to New Zealand, America, and we also lost 2 of our most senior administrators around the same time, which was Gary Keegan was one, and another was a guy called Dave Conway, who was the real brains and the real driving force behind the campus as it is now. And it took us a while to kind of get all those pieces back in place. So what's his first name? The McNamara guy, who's the athletics, Paul McNamara. So he came in just after Rio.
Yeah, 2017.
And 5 of the other top Olympic sports had a new high performance director come in around that. So it's taken that length of time for all of this to kind of merge.
That's a great answer, yeah.
And the last thing is we're spending more money.
Yeah. So that's
sorry, it's a long-winded way of saying.
So that it's been a really interesting decade.
Yes,
yeah.
It has been because the decade before it was such a shit show.
Yeah.
In terms of and you see, a medal will always mask mediocrity and worse.
Yeah.
And it did. But now, if you look at where we're at now, we're much more consistent, and it's not like and then. Sport fan. It's not rowing goes here and then it just falls off a cliff. Like boxing, remember, went and then it fell off a cliff. And it's just finding its way back now, and I think it will. But we're better now, we're more consistent because we're doing the same things, learning from our mistakes, same thing. And the last point, not to go on too much, is our athletes. So you take a Derval O'Rourke, you take a Rob Heffernan, you take a Sonia. They had to do their own thing. They had to ignore the system around them, because it was set up to fail, and put their own system in place. And the ones that were able to do that were the ones that had some success. That doesn't happen anymore. I see McNamara in the paper today saying, you don't have to go away now, you can stay at home. Everything you need is here. And not quite everything you need is here, but we're a lot better that way than we used to be.
It's a great answer. No, it's really interesting. I mean, I talked about a golf simulator for the first 10 minutes of the show, so you take as long as you need. Because even, it's fresh in the memory, Ciara McGeehan's book, like she gets a scholarship to UCD, turns down the US collegiate circuit, and, the month she joins UCD, they rip up the track, and she's got nowhere to actually run.
I mean, has the US collegiate system been good for for Adeleke? It's hard to know, isn't it?
Seems to be
There's a lot
discussion point now, yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't till it wasn't. Almost,
Yeah.
It started like a train.
It's certainly a school of hard knocks, it seems.
It is, yeah.
So
Yeah, to
maybe
survive in the University of Texas, one of the most elite environments in the country. Like it's not easy.
you can probably get left behind in a way where you won't if you're a big fish in the sports institute.
Just one thing you said in the athletics podcast with Cahill, like there's always been moments where we've gathered around to watch national championships, Europeans, Worlds, and it's been almost like one-off talents that we've all coalesced around. Whereas the depth on show, like Keane McPhillips was sick and had to he basically ran the heat, but like he was going to be probably second behind Mark English. Charlie Maudsley tears his hamstring. Ordinarily, an injury like that would derail the whole championships. We probably would have only been going with one star like that, whereas we basically were able to absorb two significant injuries to two of our top competitors and still come away with this massive haul. So to your point, the depth is there now. It's not just like when we had the great panel on Norty of Sonia, Rob Herford and Derval O'Rourke, they seemed almost like shooting stars, whereas now it's just this
Caught up. Yeah, because Maudsley, not that it works directly like this, but certainly her best time this season would have got her a bronze.
they would have been knocking around for sure.
She would have been
They're
very, very strong medal contender.
Yeah. Like Keane McPhillips was fourth at the Worlds.
He was, yeah.
So he would.
I mean, before the 800, people were tipping McPhillips to have to get the better Mark English.
He was coming late. Yeah. He was coming up the rails.
But they're really impressive people, and they've got really impressive people around them. And we've just got, we still have a lot to do. But sport, you see it in anything. You look at Manchester United, you look at Liverpool, things come and go. But systems are very hard to mess up. I always say this about if you show me a county that's not performing well in football or hurling, and I'll show you a county that doesn't have a good county board behind it.
Or the AFL could be taking all their players, John. No, it's true. It's true. Just to finish, 4 o'clock tomorrow, I know where young Will Slattery will be after his 23 Ks.
Saturday.
Sorry.
You're already on holiday mode.
I am. I'm on holiday mode. I swear to God, it's Friday.
Just thinking of your next Kazam moment.
It's such a Friday feeling. So, South Africa, New Zealand. We've been talking about this for a little while, this little Lions-esque tour New Zealand have had. Very interesting. Charlie Morgan writing about it in a big way for the Times, and I know you've got a clip for us, but to set the scene, they're saying there are echoes here of that very toxic Lions tour of South Africa.
Yeah.
Where Rassie Erasmus is putting pressure on referees. Charlie Morgan writes, kickoff cannot come soon enough because anticipation is in danger of turning sour. If this were a playground scrap and the tone has not been far off, South Africa would argue with some justification that New Zealand started it first. So, look, they're both putting pressure on the referee. Dave Rennie, because the New Zealanders have been playing like the Stormers and the Sharks, like a Lions tour, the franchises before the big event on Saturday. And Dave Rennie's doing a lot of these South Africans. They keep slowing the game down. It's stop-start. They just want set pieces. And now South Africa have come out fighting. So on Monday, Rassie did a press conference with Jaco Pijper, the referee, retired after the 23 World Cup and now has just come on board as their, what's it called? Their law advisor.
Law advisor. It's a lovely term, isn't it? Only in rugby.
Laws, not rules. So they did a press conference together and Rassie's like laying down the law in terms of what's going on and, Rassie arguing we haven't been playing slowly at all. So then out comes Felix Jones, our guy, to do a press conference on Thursday. And so he's asked you can see this as well, but he's asked a very innocuous question, what have you made of the All Blacks?
Yeah. What have you learned from their first 3 games against the club sides?
Yeah. And he gives, to be fair to him, he gives 20, 30 seconds on Dave Rennie, as he sort of said, is trying to get them to play faster tempo, running rugby. That's all very nice. But then he's like, but we've had some interesting feedback from the franchises, the South African teams who obviously have been helping South Africa. Here's what we found against the All Blacks. So here's Felix Jones.
A couple of things probably trended across the feedback across the different franchises. A few things around the breakdown. They experienced tuck shoulders going into the breakdown, which I know they weren't really happy with, a reversed arm and tight non-wrapping action. So that was a consistent theme that came out, and probably the other big one for them was they found they were frustrated that they couldn't score with their maul, and it's tough when there's someone pulling you or trying to lift a leg or, maybe just going off feet for a couple of seconds. So I think there was probably those 2 common themes of what they weren't too happy with.
So the piece says, in a decidedly unsubtle way, Jones and the Springboks are fishing for a 20-minute red card in the first test at Ellis Park.
Look, it's tough when the opposition cheats, as Felix Jones said at the end there. And I'm sure there's some Ireland fans listening to the tuck shoulder remark saying, didn't Luke Jacobson, wasn't there a tuck shoulder there and Josh van der Fleer that went relatively unpunished given he didn't get the 20-minute red card? Yeah, I just wanted to highlight this because it really shows the Springboks in action in Test Week when Rozzy Rasmus comes out, as you say, with Jakob Piper, a referee who's in the camp. France have Jerome Garces. Ireland don't have anyone on a full-time basis. And not only trying to get the message to the referee, and Felix Jones doing the same, but behind the scenes, they've been working feverishly to shape the game. Felix Jones mentioned the maul there, the new maul laws that come in at the Shape of the Game conference last year. The whole Springbok coaching staff were there to take part in these discussions. I don't know if Ireland had anyone over there. I know Rob Kearney, I think, actually was there, but I'm not sure if anyone from the Ireland coaching staff themselves were there. Jacques Naber was there as well, where he was linking up with his former colleagues too. And off the back of this big meeting of minds, these maul laws came in previously at other conferences. The kick escort laws came in. Rozzy Rasmus has a podcast that he likes to do in the off-season with Felix Jones, with Jakob Piper, where they talk, wouldn't it be great if certain things were refereed a little more stringently so we can have that better game? And they list the things that they feel like maybe would make the game better. Like Tanu Umaga was the one who came out last week and was talking about, God, don't we all just want to see a faster game? Conveniently for them, that's if they want to play as well. South Africa. So like no one's doing it for altruistic reasons necessarily, although I do think the majority would be closer aligned to maybe Tanu Umaga's viewpoint than the South Africans' viewpoint. But yeah, it's just interesting. South Africa are very, very influential behind the scenes. They're very upfront about what they're trying to do there, which is influence the referee. And I also just wanted to draw attention to Felix Jones. Obviously, everyone probably knows, even if you're not a rugby fan, is familiar with who he is, an Irish guy in the Springboks camp. But he is now ascended to, I would say, senior coach in the Springboks camp. He is Rozzy Rasmus's like lieutenant. I would say he's doing the most coaching of anyone on the coaching staff. I've talked to people, and that's the impression I've been given, is that he is hugely influential. He doesn't have an official title other than assistant coach. He's not the attack coach, the defence coach, the forwards coach. I think he has kind of his finger in all areas, and he's very, very influential, not only with what the Springboks are doing, but also kind of behind the scenes shaping the direction of the game, which is fascinating for an Irish person to be so embedded in the top of the game. So this is going to be a fascinating game this weekend. I mentioned to you earlier, like the teams were named. The Springboks only have 4 players in their 20s in their starting 15. The All Blacks only have 4 players in their 30s. So it really is a juxtaposition of one team who were older and one team who were younger. Because for all the depth South Africa have and how much we talk about it, you can only pick 15 players at once, and they still have a core group of guys there who have won one World Cup, if not 2, who haven't been shifted yet. The depth is nice to have options, and Rozzy routinely changes it. But it's funny, first test comes around, Colby, Creel, Dialende, Arenza,
the boys, yeah,
Dutoy, Etzebeth, Oxniche, Malcolm Marx. So it should be a good game, but I have been interested to see, and that's a very good piece by Charlie Morgan that kind of tee it up, that there's been a lot of sniping in the last week or so.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the match, it's about the direction of travel between now and the World Cup.
Well, I mean, that's such a crucial debate because, you know, in soccer, football, that's even GAA to an extent, that's just not really going to dictate the outcome. Whereas, like, the way a game is refereed in rugby is all important. This is battle number 1 of the war, to win almost a week and influence the referee.
Yeah.
And I mean, to be Matthew Carley going into this game, a bit like the Lions. That's what Charlie Morgan made the point about the Lions.
It's always been my problem with rugby.
It is a downside to it, that the referees outsized importance. Yeah,
and it was an interesting point. Was it in that piece, in one of the pieces today, about they don't get to have these one-on-one meetings with the ref anymore. No. So in Test Week, each side got to have a few minutes each with the ref.
Joint.
Now it's a joint meeting, so they feel this is adding to the kind of the public element of the debate there, because they can't say it in private. They're now lobbing bombs from trenches in public.
Yeah, I always thought it was curious.
It's kind of unseen.
There was a meeting in the first place. Like, I remember asking when Wayne Barnes retired, I think he had a book out, and I chatted to him on the left wing, and I was like, what are these meetings like? And he's like, yeah, they come and they say this, and this. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, the other coach said the exact opposite to what you're saying about what you do. Like, you know, so it's always been a funny little mechanism. I don't mind it being maybe nixed to some degree, because I don't think that shouldn't be allowed at all.
Should be less focus on it all, as important as it is. I mean, it's very striking. Andy Farrell, I don't think I've ever heard say a word in relation to a prospective referee's performance in advance of a game. He does not get involved in this at all. And I think people really like that about him.
If Rudd was sitting here, he would say
he should. I know.
He would say, look what South Africa are doing.
Yeah.
Like, Ireland are missing a trick by not even having a referee embedded in the camp like Garces and Piper.
And we still seem to manage to piss referees off a lot.
It's true.
It's funny, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and we're
It's not doing us any favours.
We're the quiet boy at the front of the class, and we're getting in trouble all
I
the
think we're
time.
mouthy on the pitch.
Oh, Caelan Doris is like
We're a
the
little
press
mouthy.
conference demeanour
We're
is
mouthy.
like he just rubs refs the wrong.
And what, the South Africans are choir boys when they're out there, are they?
I don't know. I guess they're mouthy too, but we seem to. Yeah, I don't think referees love us.
No, and like Razzie, like they ended up winning the series in
The Lions won
after
and got
after that.
a mad decision with Conor Murray.
After that, so like they lost the first test, he releases this big video,
Yeah. No,
and they win the subsequent 2 tests. So like there has
poisoned that
been
tour. Poisoned
the ends for him have justified the means.
Yeah.
So I'm just really interested to see how this game is refereed on Saturday. You know, like the first few decisions,
which
like,
we would never say about a football match.
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch the World Cup final and see how it's refereed.
Yeah, I just find that really odd.
It's a weakness, but it's kind of compelling fodder during the week. But yeah, Felix Jones, huge position in rugby now. Fellas, we have gone over time. We will reconvene at another date. So, Will, thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
John Greene, I know you're busy ahead of Sunday. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.